So this week I worked on Jane's render. Went pretty well. However, as I was drawing, I don't know, before I started rendering her, I thought she kind of looked like she was in an action pose, so it still ended up looking very still to me. And I would like something more representative of her kind of like in action, like about to run or like ducking or something. She looks very sci-fi. So her just kind of standing did not do it for me at the end of it, because that's kind of not what I intended. I kind of wanted her to look like she was like, you know, kind of in the middle of running, kind of like if she was ready to like run if she has to, but at the same time not. I don't know how to say that, but essentially it looked more still than anticipated. And so what I want to do now, I think as much as, you know, when you're working on a portfolio, maybe, and I'm also sharing this because maybe it's helpful to someone that's actually working on their portfolio too. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go, seeing what works, what doesn't. But, you know, even though I want to have pieces added to my online portfolio, I think it's also important to take a step back and also kind of see, like, be honest with yourself and like, do I really just want to post it because it's something to show, or should I add more time to it to fix what now I see wrong with it? Which I think that's the part where I would like to fix her before I post her on my online portfolio. I think I will, for now, just add her lineup because I think it's still helpful to have more than one, not lineup, I'm sorry. I think for now I'll add her turnaround to my online portfolio, just to kind of show that I have more than one, but at the same time, I would really like to finish this sheet of like highlight poses that show her like in action or like tell a little bit more about her. And for that, I do feel like I need to like give her more of a story first and really get to know her, and like by that I mean like try different poses with her, see what works for her, maybe like what type of weapon she would possibly have if she was in this sci-fi world. So I think going through that experience of learning who my character is obviously going to help me with her. And for anyone that's a character artist, this is probably very obvious. But I think when I started making my portfolio, I was like, well, she looks like she's in action either way, so I'll probably just draw her. But I think, like I said, just through doing this, I feel like it obviously is going to take me a bit more practice to get the hang of like just how much of the, I wanted to have more motion, so for that I do need to practice it more. Anyway, so what I've been working on recently when I'm not working on Jane, which is also why it kind of took me a whole week to work on this, because I only work on this maybe 2-3 times a week, because the rest of the days I kind of like to work on things that are going to help my portfolio in the long run. So right now I've actually got a sketchbook for the first time in a while that I want to actually finish, you know, not just kind of, because I've had sketchbooks that I've started on in the past couple of years, but it's usually just like every other page has a sketch, but it's still pretty much empty, and I'm not really practicing anything per se. I'm just kind of drawing like characters, so I'm not like trying any variations or trying to go deeper into the story or experimenting with color schemes, which I really want to do more of, because I think in the end that's going to help my portfolio develop and go further. So on this new sketchbook I'm working on, which I might show it in the next video because I think I want to take a step back for like a week and just kind of let myself experiment and express all the poses that I want to try and like weapons, and just kind of give myself that free space to I guess experiment before I go back to the drawing board per se. So in the sketchbook right now I've been drawing some hand gestures because I can draw hands if I stay on it for like maybe an hour or so, because I overthink it and I'm like, oh my god, like it doesn't look perfect. If you're comfortable with drawing hands, you can draw it however you want because you can still tell that the hand is relaxed and it's a hand. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to get more comfortable drawing hands, because if I practice that daily, this is my logic and this is, I'm pretty sure, a really good reason why I'm doing it. The more hands I draw, obviously I feel like the faster I'll draw hands when I'm actually drawing these characters, and it won't be as time consuming as like spending 3 hours on hands or something. I'm exaggerating, I think. I don't really count how long I take on hands, but I do know it's longer than like 2 minutes, which should be the longest I take on hands. And it's because I think I'm trying to work it out as I'm working on this character, rather than having practiced beforehand and being like, okay, I kind of have a good feeling of how to draw hands, or like a good feel of drawing hands before I throw myself into a project. So I'm usually figuring it out on the project rather than actually having that practice time. So right now, that's what I'm drawing on my sketchbook, is like a lot of hands. I actually want to do a video on like 300 hands in 3 days, which is kind of crazy, I feel. But at the same time, I feel like I tend to have 3 days in a row sometimes where I can work on stuff. And maybe this is just a weird way to go about it, but I figured if I practice it like back to back to back, and I'm just kind of, you know, like I'm not too much pressure, just kind of trying to understand hands for 3 consecutive days, apologize. I feel like that'll be more fresh in the back of my mind to just go on. And yeah, I can practice hands after that as well, but I feel like that would be a good little, I guess, challenge for myself. But at the same time, I feel like it'll push me further a little quicker, because I'll be asking myself those questions like, why does this hand not look right? Next week's video, I just want to focus on being able to practice the fundamental skills that I need for character design, which is also why I've also been kind of nervous to continue on Jane. Not nervous, but not ready to, because I want to draw like 15 expressions of her to show variation, but I also need to grow through that learning phase of learning expressions to like just feel comfortable with. So this sketchbook is also going to be for expressions and gestures and hands, essentially. So I'll talk about that more on the next video. Thank you all so much for checking up on it. And I hope that you all stick around for the next video. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to keep drawing.